I shall never forget the thrill of that first exploration. Soon after leaving camp, I met a troop of baboons. They were afraid of the strange, white-skinned creature, that was I, and gave their barking alarm call, "Wahoo! Wahoo!" again and again. I left them, hoping that they would become used to me soon. Otherwise, I thought, all the creatures of Gombe would be frightened. As I crossed a narrow ravine, crowded with low trees and bushes, I got very close to a beautiful red-gold bushbuck, a forest antelope, about the size of a long-legged goat. I knew it was female because she had no horns. When she scented me, she kept quite still for a moment and stared toward me with her big, dark eyes. Then, with a loud barking call, she turned and bounded away. When I got to one of the high ridges, I looked down into the valley. There, the forest was dark and thick. That was where I planned to go the next day to look for chimpanzees. When I got back to camp, it was dusk. Dominic had made a fire and was cooking our supper. That evening, and for the next 4 days, we had fresh food from Kigoma, but after that we ate out of cans. Lewis had not managed to find very much money for our expedition, so our possessions were few and simple: a knife, fork, and spoon each, a couple of tin plates and tin mugs. But that was all we needed. After supper, Mum and I talked around our campfire, then snuggled into our 2 cots in the tent. Early the next morning, I set out to search for chimpanzees. I had been told by the British game ranger in charge of Gombe not to travel about the mountains by myself, except near camp. Otherwise, I had to take one of the game scouts with me. So I set off with Adolf. That first day, we saw 2 chimps feeding in a tall tree. As soon as they saw us, they leapt down and vanished. The next day, we saw no chimps at all, nor the day after, nor the day after that. A whole week went by before we found a very big tree full of tiny round red fruits that Adolf told me were called msalula. From the other side of the valley, we could watch chimps arriving at the tree, feeding, then climbing down and vanishing into the forest. I decided to camp in the best viewing site so that I could see them first thing in the morning. I spent 3 days in that valley, and I saw a lot of chimps. But they were too far away, and the foliage of the tree was too thick. It was disappointing and frustrating, and I didn't have much to tell Mum when I got back. There was another problem that I had to cope with. Adolf was very lazy. He was almost always late in the morning. I decided to try another man, Rashidi. He was far better and helped me a lot, showing me the trails through the forests and the best ways to move from one valley to the next. He had sharp eyes and spotted chimps from far away.